Hey everyone, something that is really cool about fighting games is how if you implement just one fundamental that you were missing, it can drastically change the game. The best example is anti-airs. In Street Fighter, anti-airs are extremely important. It's the first fundamental you need to know. If someone is jumping on you nonstop, you will always lose. But if you go into a match and just focus on hitting them out of the air and stop them from jumping, that one thing will change the matchup so much that it can easily make you win even if you were just getting destroyed before. Well, laning phase in League actually shares a ton of the same concepts from fighting games, and one concept can easily make a massive difference in your lane. Today, that's what I'm going to show you. How one thing I'm going to do against this low elo player makes it seem like they have no idea how to play the game, and if you implement this, it'll make you win lane way more. And by the way, that's actually what we specialize in at skillcap.com. We take the most effective strategies for climbing and simplify them so they're easy to learn. With premium courses for every role and skill taught by the best players, Skillcap is the perfect platform to help take your game to the next level. Our service is completely risk-free to try as you're kept safe with rank up insurance. If you don't significantly improve while actively using Skillcap, then you get your money back, no questions asked. So what are you waiting for? Get the rank you've always wanted by clicking the link in the description below. Alright, to start I'm going to use a game from a Smurf in high gold, low platinum MR, where I'm on Ahri versus Lissandra. Don't worry if you don't play Ahri though, as these concepts apply to any matchup or champion. So let's get started. At the start of the lane, I'm auto-attacking minions right away. It's important I do this because Lissandra Q is an 8-second cooldown that is an AoE ability, whereas Ahri W is basically single target and a 9-second cooldown. If I don't touch the wave, Lissandra using Q trying to hit me will be enough to give her the push advantage. If she has the push advantage, she will hit level 2 and 3 first, which means she controls the lane for the first 3 waves at least. After that though, we have our first example of the concept I'm teaching you today, and it will drastically change your laning phase, and it's very simple to implement. Watch what I do here. See how I'm walking back and forth at Lissandra like this? And look what it does. It makes her use her Q and miss. What I'm doing here is simple. I'm moving just barely into her Q range, then clicking out constantly. This is actually completely safe. Let me explain. If I'm standing here right outside her Q range, and take a few steps towards her, by the time she reacts to me being in range of her Q, I'm already clicking backwards. So even if she throws it, I'm going to be walking out of the range before it can reach me. Basically, I'm moving into a spot to elicit a response from the enemy laner, putting a lot of pressure on their mental just with my movement. You might wonder though, what the counterplay here is for her. One simple concept and one more advanced one. The simple one, just don't throw the ability until I actually commit to a trade or a last hit. The advanced one though, she needs to realize that I'm baiting and then walk a few steps towards me like I'm doing to her, then throw her Q, because by the time I realize she walked forward, she's already throwing it and it would catch me. This little mind game is constantly happening in high elo laning, and it's a big part of fighting games. Alright, now to talk about why this is such an important thing to do. Multiple reasons. First, remember like I said earlier, Lissandra Q is AoE. If I'm baiting her into whiffing her Q on me and not hitting any minions, I keep the push advantage. Second, I now have an entire 8 seconds where I can zone her off the wave or win a trade if she doesn't back off. Either one is a win for me. So I grab a last hit, then walk right at her to see if she will respect that her Q is down, and she doesn't. I hit her with an auto, W, and another auto to proc electrocute. Look at that damage. Just by baiting out her Q and using my cooldown advantage, I have a big health lead and the push advantage, which means I'm winning lane in just 10 seconds of laning. It was only one interaction. But now my W is down and her Q will be coming up, so she could contest me theoretically. You don't want to just back off and play too safe with your ability down though. You want to keep doing the same thing. I'm going to collect my last hits and keep walking into Lissandra Q range and out of it like before. Remember what I said earlier about putting pressure on their mental? This does things you would never even realize if you're watching a high elo player on a Smurf account. To you, it seems like, wow, the player they are going against is so bad. The people I play against don't do that. But it's because they are under so much mental pressure that they make mistakes. Look what Lissandra does here. I'm still pressuring her with my movement as she goes for last hits, so she just uses her Q to grab the CS that would require her to walk up further to grab it. Big mistake from her. Now I'm going to have another cooldown advantage and she has last hits to grab. So now she has to choose either to give the last hits or take damage to get them. She chooses the latter, so I hit her with another auto W auto. Then I do a small trick to sneak in one more auto. If we play in slow motion here, notice after I use my auto W auto, I walk away a few steps, then preemptively turn back around. I didn't wait to see her walk towards me, then turn around. This part is important because of the same concept from earlier about when it will actually register in her brain. I'm predicting she will turn around at this time, so I turn around and right click her, and by the time she realizes I also turned around, I'm barely in auto range and I get that auto off. This is what it looked like in full speed. Alright, after that, I have to move back to the wave because the new waves are coming, so I need to let them aggro each other so they all don't hit me. But while I'm waiting for the CS to get low, it's back to the same thing as before, trying to elicit a response out of Lissandra by walking at her. And look how well it works. Now her Q is down again. At this point, I'm one minion from level 2, but I don't want to kill the minion and level up just yet. I want to wait for a minion to get low for Lissandra so she'll walk up for a last hit. Alright, a minion is getting low, so I walk up to a spot where I'm as close to Lissandra as possible as I kill the minion that gives me level 2. And as expected, she walked up to use her Q on a minion at the same time. She knows she's in danger here, but the first thing I'm going to do is just walk in a straight line at her and auto attack. Notice I didn't just rush and throw charm right away. It's because I need to see if she's looking to dodge my charm on reaction. It's a common low elo misconception that you should be reacting to skill shots like this, but that's completely wrong. I know Lissandra is reacting because the moment my character started the auto animation, Lissandra sidestepped. You don't have enough time to react to the projectile in most cases unless it's a long distance projectile. She needs preemptive movement. You can use this trick when playing anyone with a skill shot. Use an auto instead of the ability because the enemy laner can't tell the difference between the startup of your auto or the ability. And if you know they're reacting to your skill shot, you can just put your mouse on them and throw it, and it will always land. After that, I plan on autoing her more if she kept juking until she's forced to go into the choke point, and she does. Then I throw the charm, W, ignite an auto, but sadly, she lives with 15 health. Now what I'm going to do is jump to a different replay, where we're going to look at this same Lissandra player, but a random game where she's against another low elo player. Let's see if she makes these same mistakes. The 3 big mistakes were, she was getting baited by movement, which led to missing every skill shot, she didn't use skill shots when I was going for last hits, and she used her own abilities to get last hits. All of this was because of my movement and pressure. Let me show you proof of that. In this game, they are on Lux instead of Lissandra, but all the same concepts apply. You might think Lux skill shots are super easy to land, but that's not true. If you don't believe me, watch my other video where I go against Lux and she hits one single ability in lane because I'm using this exact strategy. But anyways, let's just look at every skill shot she throws and how the enemy mid is moving. As the first CS gets low for the enemy fiddle, look at that. The Lux throws her E and it lands. The very first interaction of the lane, she's already done something she didn't do versus me a single time. Fiddle trades back with Z and some autos, then as Fiddle goes to grab his next last hit, Lux throws E and it lands once again. Twice now she did this, and look, she's landed each one. But if Fiddle was actually threatening her with his movement this entire time, she would feel pressure to use E just like she did against me. Then she couldn't contest his last hits like this. Still think it's a coincidence? Well, in 5 seconds, her E is going to come up again. And as Fiddle goes for his next last hit, Lux contests the same way she has been and it lands, so she's 3 for 3. She's using her skill shots when he goes for last hit, so she's not missing, she's not using any abilities for CS, and she's not whiffing since Fiddle isn't baiting with movement. This is what I mean by one concept can drastically change the lane. Look how different this looks compared to my laning versus her. Alright, now let's go back to the first game where I'm on Ahri. We're going to pick up here where we're both level 5. I'm going to grab a last hit, and while I'm doing that, I see Lissandra about to grab one as well. So I throw a charm as she stops to auto attack it, and this leads to a chunk of her health. Then I walk right towards her and preemptively move away, and it baits her into missing her Q once again. Then as her next last hits start to get low, notice how I'm pressuring again. Her mental is completely overwhelmed. So she just uses Q again and misses, and doesn't get the last hits. So she's forced to use her long cooldown E to get them. As the next wave arrives, I tag Lissandra with 1 Q, and I'm a few minions away from level 6. She walks up for last hits though, and once again, just by pressuring her with movement, she feels like she needs to use her Q to get them. I'm now in exactly the same spot as level 1. I'm 1 minion from level 6 though, instead of from level 2, but I want to kill that minion as she walks up for this next minion like this. Now I get my level up, grab my ult, dash in, and get a free solo kill. See how different the laning looks between 2 low elo players compared to a high elo player versus a low elo player? This is why it seems like we go against worse players than you do. We are overwhelming them in multiple ways that makes it impossible for them to play any way like they can versus another low elo player. Alright, you get the idea now though. If you implement this into your own laning, no matter what the matchup is, you'll win way more lanes and enemies will crumble from your pressure. And for everything else you need to start climbing ranks fast, there's Skillcap.com. With premium courses for every role and skill taught by the best players, Skillcap is the perfect platform to help take your game to the next level. Take our wave control course. While you wait for your next game to start, you can learn freezing, fast pushing, slow pushing, bouncing waves, the list goes on, all in just a few minutes to maximize your improvement rate. Or maybe you just like seeing your opponent's health go to 0. Then you'll love our trading course. We even have a skill test at the end so you can see how good you really are. Players just like you are leaving 5-star reviews and raving at how helpful they are. That's not all we offer though, as every week we release 10 brand new Smurf commentaries where a challenger player teaches you how to climb out of the exact rank you're stuck in. If you're looking for something more personal instead, then we got you covered with one-on-one coaching from our trained challenger experts. All this seems too good to be true? Well, don't worry, we're backed by a rank up guarantee. If you don't significantly improve while actively using Skillcap, then you get your money back, no questions asked. So what are you waiting for? Get the rank you've always wanted by clicking the link in the description below. Alright, that's a wrap on this one guys. We here at Skillcap want to thank you for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.